So, as a millennial designer today, the expectation is to keep up with the latest technology, right? You're supposed to figure out how to use TikTok and understand when and where and how to work with AI. You should be fluent in the latest collaboration tools and somehow keep up with the latest apps and devices. In my experience, these do not support creativity. They flip from being helpful tools to really questionable options quickly. Alongside of all of this, I've also been aware of organizations like the West Michigan Graphic Design Archives. This is a curated archive full of local, historical, and thoughtful design. A lot of it done many years ago, much of it from an era before design was even done on computers. Over the years, I've found that I've learned far more about design and frankly work and life from looking back at this work. The processes, the themes, the ideas, way more than I have ever learned from the technology that continues to build up around us. And as the name would suggest, the archive is graphic design focused, but these principles really relate to any creative endeavor. So today, this conversation is going to dive into the 5 lessons I've learned from stepping away from technology and looking back at the success of past design work. First and foremost, find the humanity in your design or in your work. When we find the humanity in work, it resonates. When you can find that humanity, you create an authenticity that people can relate to. And there we go. In design, that might look like literally adding a face to your project. It might mean doing something hand-done, like an illustration to represent people. You can even give them a little heart. Or it might be human-centered messaging. Be about peace, or live safe, save a life. Whatever the project or method or type of work you're doing, there's value in bringing humanity into the project. When we bring humanity into our work, it forces us to think about human beings for exactly what they are, people. Next, let's break it down to the essence. What are you really trying to do with your work? Some of the strongest communication comes from the most simple approaches. And when you really understand a problem, it allows that simplicity to shine through. And today, simple design tends to be more immediate. When immediacy is king and attention is really hard to capture because of technology, then that simplicity becomes critical. When we talk about simplicity in design, it's oftentimes met with, stripping away the clutter, taking away anything extra. You can have oftentimes a pretty clean and simple approach, but you can also do something that's still fun and bold. A statement of expectations is incredibly clear when there's nothing else to clutter it up. But with just 4 bold colors in a simple illustration, you can also portray the lightheartedness and fun of a summer picnic. And this goes far beyond design. In an era where everybody is pressed for more hours in the day or days in the week, whatever it looks like, then think of the impact of your communication. Instead of leaning into the urge to bring every person through every piece of every process, step back and consider what's really important in your messaging. Next, embrace constraints. Give yourself a box and figure out how to push the boundaries from within it. By embracing constraints, or even establishing them yourself, you're given the freedom to work within a box. You can explore and ideate and create within the boundaries and stay out of the weeds. In design, constraints might be a specific size or shape. It could be a really limited color palette or a very specific theme. But constraints are everywhere. It might mean the confines of a space for an event you're putting together. It might be limitations in manufacturing for product design, or even the policies around a sustainability practice. I have a collaborator, someone who I work with regularly who is a fellow creative, and she says, I am a fan of reality. When she says that, she means, let's be clear about what's possible here. Knowing what things you can and can't change is powerful. Then we really need to get to know our user. Who really needs your work? I had a professor in college who always said there's no such thing as a stupid user, it's just stupid designer. If you've ever done work in user experience, you know there's really not a truer statement. When we keep our user at the center of our work, whatever our work is, then they become the priority. All design is interactive in some way, right? At its most basic level, it should be readable and understandable. But beyond that, if you've done your work with a user in mind, they should, and you've done it well, they should intuitively know how to interact with it. Whether it slides or folds or moves, whether it's clickable or scannable, whatever it is, they should know what to do with it. And when we get better at understanding our user, we get better at understanding the effect of our work instead of just the intent behind it. We can meet them where they are and design or cook or write or sell accordingly. And last, but maybe most important, find the fun and creativity. Whether that means finding something that you find enjoyment in or figuring out what you like in your day-to-day work. We all spend parts of our day problem solving, whatever that looks like, and we know how closely linked innovation and creativity are, which means we need to tap into that creativity in some way. Not everything has to be clean and polished. It doesn't always have to be buttoned up and serious. You can play, lean into the energy of good design or good work, explore a new color or space. Maybe you create something whimsical. Whatever it is, find enjoyment in the work that you're doing. Find the fun. So I encourage you, the next time you're facing a challenging project or process, whatever that might be, start by stepping away from technology. You'll come back to it eventually, I promise. But take a look at the past. Find something that inspires you and see where it takes you. Thank you.